Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. And today we're talking about all the technical aspects of shooting a cinematic video. Now, I have made two videos earlier. First one is on color grading, like how you can color grade your footage and make it look more cinematic. And the second one is how you can place your lights, how you place your subject, whichever rules you should follow to create a cinematic looking video. But you know what? One of my dada used to say that you can't cook biryani with the ingredients of khichdi. Like in simple terms, you can't capture a trash footage and you can make it look cinematic or great in post-processing. That's not how it works. The process starts from shooting a great footage within the camera itself. So in this video, we are going to talk about all the technical aspects to capture the best possible footage in camera, and then we can create it even look more beautiful in post-processing. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's start the video with exposure triangle. I hope everyone watching this video has a pretty basic knowledge about exposure triangle and how to expose their footage properly. So I'm not going in depth into exposure triangle, but while shooting a cinematic video, you have to pay special attention to few things. First of all is shutter speed. You have to maintain 180-degree shutter angle rule for shutter speed. What is that? Let me clarify. When you are shooting at 25 fps, you have to maintain your shutter speed at 1/50 of second. When you are shooting at 60 fps, you have to maintain your shutter speed at 1/120th per second. Simply put, you have to maintain the shutter speed the double of your frame rate. Like whatever frame rate you are shooting, the shutter speed will be double of that. And that's how you will achieve the true, real, like lifelike motion blurs in your video, which will help your videos to look or feel more cinematic, more real life. The second thing is aperture or f-stop. Now, in general, the more depth you have in your footage, it looks more cinematic. But you have few exceptions, like whatever story you are telling, whatever visuals you are showing, what is the theme you are going for. So there are exceptions, but in general, the more depth you have in your footage, it looks more cinematic, looks more polished. Now, the third one is ISO, and choosing a perfect ISO for your camera could be a bit tricky. Let me clarify. If you are shooting in standard, vivid, contrasty, portrait, any of these picture profiles, you can choose any ISO and go shoot with it. No problem at all. But if you are a bit more advanced and you are shooting in log, then you have to choose the perfect ISO according to your camera. How? Let's talk about the picture profile first, and then we'll come back to the preferred ISO for your specific camera. So, when shooting a cinematic looking video and you are thinking about doing color grading afterwards, you should be shooting in S-Log. Like for Sony S-Log, for Canon C-Log, and whichever brand you are shooting, the concept of log is basically same. The log is a type of picture profile that captures more data and creates a more flat looking profile, flat looking footage, which captures more data in highlight areas and also in shadow areas. So while after shooting the footage, while in post-processing, you can play with the data and create the type of color grading, the type of look you want to create. But like Sony has two log profiles. S-Log2 is 8-bit and S-Log3 is 10-bit. Now you have to choose the log profile according to your camera. Like if you are using a Sony a7 III, that is a 8-bit camera, so you have to choose S-Log2. If you are using FX3, FX30 or S7 IV, you can choose S-Log3 because it's a 10-bit camera that supports and perfectly performs under the S-Log3 picture profile. Now, while shooting the preferred S-Log or C-Log or any type of log your camera provides, you have a recommended ISO. Now, I am a Sony user and I am shooting on my A7 IV with S-Log3, and the recommended ISO for S-Log3 is 800. Now, if we go below the 800 mark, we can see two bars on the ISO range. That means that indicates that this is not recommended ISO for S-Log3. Now that means the ISO 800 is our first base for shooting S-Log3 footage. Now, there are several cameras that features dual native base ISO. Okay, so you have learned the 180-degree shutter angle rule. You have now taken care of the depth of your footage. You are taking care of your lights. You are taking care of your ISO. But while shooting the S-Log3 or any log footage, it's not just like you set the picture profile to S-Log or S-Log3, S-Log2, whichever you preferred, and you are done. There are several details you have to maintain or you have to follow to capture the best possible video in your camera. So while shooting at S-Log3, always expose your footage a bit overexposed, like +1 or +1.7, but don't go over +2 much because then you can't recover the highlights. And if you expose your footage perfectly at 0 on your exposure meter, then best of luck, because you're first of all, you can't pull back any data from your shadows. Also, after color grading, your footage will introduce a heck a lot of noise. So best of luck for that. Now, if you are worried about making your footage look more overexposed or anything like that, you can use the zebra feature on your camera to monitor the highlight parts on your footage and properly expose your footage for S-Log3. But always shoot with one stop overexposed while shooting for S-Log3, because that will give you the best possible footage right from your camera. Okay, so you have learned all the technical aspects and the tricks to shoot a cinematic video, to shoot the best possible footage on your camera. So what are you waiting for? Get out there, create some stories, create some good looking cinematic videos, tell your stories. Also, for color grading, I have made another tutorial. Watch that video. That will help you to transform your videos to look more cinematic, make it more visually impactful. So that's all for today's video. See you guys in the next one. And recently I have discovered in my analytics that 90% of the viewers who watches these videos are not subscribed to the channel. I mean, why? Subscribe it. It doesn't take anything from you, but it helps me a lot. Or already you are watching these videos. I mean, if I am providing any value, if you are learning anything from these videos, a like, a comment will be really appreciated. Also, subscribe. That will help me to grow. That will help us to grow as a community, as a channel, as a group of tech enthusiasts, photographers, cinematographers, and we'll grow together. Like, a share, a subscribe will be really appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I have provided you some value. See you guys in the next one. Till then, tada.